My name is Jake Palumbo, your district selectman, the hood politician, and you are watching the B Shine. I grew up in East Tennessee, in the Knoxville area, so, I was literally kind of about 800 miles away from, where hip hop was developing at the time. My first real experience with hip hop, and I tell this story a lot, is when I was about maybe 12, 13 years old. We used to have a record store called Camelot Music that's long out of business, and I saw the Public Enemy, It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back cassette on the shelf, and it was like kind of staring back at me almost. And I used to go in that record store every week with money I made, mowing my grandmother's lawn and buy music. And I looked at that tape for like 4 or 5 weeks straight. And then one day I decided to spring for it and buy it out of curiosity as much as anything. Because we didn't have any local hip-hop radio or anything like that. And we didn't have cable, so I didn't even have Yo MTV Raps. So I bought that Public Enemy tape, and I played it so many times. And I told Hank Shockley this story recently at the AES convention. I played that cassette so many times that the tape actually snapped in half. I still have it to this day. And a couple years, when I was by the time I was in high school, my parents got me Wu-Tang Forever, I think my freshman year, for my birthday that year. And it was done from there. Like, I was literally done. Like, this was what I had to be a part of. So when I would ride in my car with my Wu-Tang tape or my Public Enemy tape or my Redman tape or anything like that, I almost felt strangely like protected to a degree. Hip hop gave me a sense of bravery because, when I was riding with Wu-Tang in my car, I felt like nobody could touch me. Like, I felt like, and plenty of other groups, that, I could tie you up with for hours talking about, but it's like I felt like I wasn't riding alone. Like, I felt like I had this imaginary squad of, like, superheroes behind me. And especially if you're a kid that's got, like, self-esteem issues or something like that, like, hip-hop kind of taught me to, like, puff my chest out a little bit and make people talk to my chin. So, for the longest time, you read all these books about, like, how to make it in the music business and things like that, and they always tell you, well, you should start with your hometown first, build up a scene there and then try and take on the world. And I tried that for a while. My goal, from the time, like, when I got out of high school, was to kind of put my area on the map. And after, we did a lot of local shows, we toured the South, we pressed up our own CDs, we did the total DIY, approach to it. But after 3 or 4 years of that, it was kind of a one-way road to starving to death. As much love as I do have for the people of Tennessee, and I appreciate everybody that tried to support us, not to say that they don't like hip-hop there, because they do. But if you don't fit into one kind of very narrow definition of what a sound is, you're not going to have a lot of people checking for you. So after 3 or 4 years of struggling and literally losing like 50 or 60 pounds, I decided, I had to make it or break it. And, I moved to New York about 10 years ago, almost a decade ago. The first ever piece of production equipment, I paid entirely too much for it. It was a Boss DR550 drum machine that had 4 drum kits on it. I think I paid like $500 for that. The guy in the music store didn't even really know what it was, I don't think. And I upgraded from that to the Dr. Groove drum machine, and I was sampling off a mini disc recorder that I had stolen from the Sears warehouse that I worked at the time. So I would very, very, very primitively try and, sample off the mini disc and slow it down and try and match it with the drum machine. And, when that's all you got, you'll find ways to try and stretch the limits of it until, I was able to actually get some real gear. Unfortunately, my father passed away right as I was starting to accomplish some things. To this day, my mom is one of my biggest fans. My family's approach, and a lot of even my whole musical sense comes from my family. My parents were both record collectors. I used to actually chew on their vinyl LPs when I was a baby, which I think had some sort of chemical reaction, made me a record head later in life. But very, very supportive. You know, their attitude was always that, you know, as long as you're happy and you're being a productive member of society and you're not hurting anybody, then go for it. So to this day, my mom loves hip hop for a bunch of reasons. Maybe it's not her favorite kind of music, but she loves the outlet that it gave for her son to put food on the table and keep himself out of trouble. You know, obviously, you know, all the music that we've released, Space Lab Recordings has released 32 titles in 10 years, you know, whether it was albums, EPs, mixtapes, singles, so on and so forth. All the music, you know, it's kind of like having a lot of kids. You know, those are all very, very special to me. All the tours that we did, every state, every town we played in, and, you know, very much so getting to the opportunity, especially, you know, after I became an engineer and owned the studio, getting the opportunity to work with people whose music I respected or looked up to. And, you know, because it was always it was like a Jedi type mentality. Like, you know, I wanted to impress the Jedi Council, you know, because, you know, their contributions inspired me to do what I do. So getting that reciprocated, you know, running down the list of, you know, people who, you know, at least know who I am now, definitely is, you know, it's near the top. Wendy Day of the Rap Coalition tweeted a while back. She said, "It is so hard to make an impact in the music industry without having any money, and Jake Palumbo is making it look easy," which blew me away because, you know, I'm over here with my little Bad News Bears operation, and the woman who is responsible for the largest deals in urban music, from No Limit to Cash Money to Eminem to everybody, is telling me that what I do is impressive. I would say being independent, coming out of pocket, never having any kind of financial backing. Like, I jokingly was talking about naming my next album Pocket Lint and Laundry Quarters, because I feel that's what we built this little dirt empire on. And, you know, I would say that was really the biggest. You know, when you grow up in New York, you know, you can literally walk to Def Jam at, you know, 50th Street and wait outside and try and find an A&R to talk to. You know, when you're kind of geographically disconnected, right as the internet is starting to come around and you know, give you those tools, you know, you got to come out of pocket for everything. And to this day, we have to come out of pocket for everything, you know, in hopes of turning a profit. So the independent grind, I would say, is the biggest hurdle. The various hustles, whether it's, you know, whether it's shows, whether it's record sales, whether it's placing a beat here and there, whether it's, you know, engineering, whether it's the studio, the sum of all those parts add up to income. So it's not like I'm banking on my rap blowing up to feed myself and to be able to, you know, lead my company the way that I want to. So I'm very, very proud of being able to exist in our own world and make the kind of music that we want to make and perform it for an audience who cares. You know, even if it's a small, dedicated cult following at the moment, you know, I'm very proud of that. Basically, never having to change for acceptance. You know, I'm still the same weirdo, you know, perv lunatic that I was a decade ago when I got started in this, you know, and, you know, slowly but surely, you know, I guess people are starting to catch on. I mean, I want to inspire people, of course. I think every artist wants to inspire people, but I want to inspire people to never think that because you don't somehow fit a mold that you can't do something. You know, I'm from Tennessee. I'm weird, I'm country, I'm, you know, I didn't really, I was almost 30 before I started to make an impact on anything. Like, you know, you're too old, you're too left, you're too this, you're too that. Like, if you really have something to offer and you're determined, like, you know, never let the stats convince you that something can't work if you want it bad enough. And beyond that, like, I just want to entertain people. I want to make them laugh. I want to make them think. I want to make them, you know, relate to my story. And, you know, I just want people, I want people to smile when they hear my name. I'll be like, yo, that guy was crazy, but I liked him. He had something.